Welcome to the Centonomy HR Breakfast. We are so glad to be hosting you today. It's all about the future of work. I want to do a quick survey. How many of us have used AI at the office recently? Look around. Just look around. Things have changed. And so there are some roles that are going to disappear. But praise the Lord, there are some other roles that cannot disappear. Hey, now we're in church. I didn't know that that's what's going to happen. But here's the thing. We now have to begin to navigate a world that is changing rapidly. My brother here, Steve, is the one who... can we just give Steve a round of applause, please? Steve is one of the team members at Centonomy, and anything that you see that goes out on social media, especially our YouTube channel, all our videos, Steve is responsible for that. And here's the thing, Steve's job is at risk. Sorry, I'm using you as an example. If he is unable to shift. What do I mean by this? A couple of years ago, I'm sure you've heard of all the shifts that are going on with artificial intelligence, especially around the area of video. A couple of years ago, it was easy to tell this video has been produced by artificial intelligence, isn't it? It looks pixelated, it was short, you could not see anything out of that video. A couple of months ago, I'm talking about developments that are happening within months, not even years. Now there are videos on the internet that you will come across that you will not be able to tell are not real. Like not a single item on that screen that you're watching is real. What does that mean for certain roles? It means that therefore, what the computer can do, stop focusing on it and begin to think, what is it that the computer cannot do? You see, the computer cannot come up with the plan that is going to change and be able to overwhelm your competitors. You see, the computer is able to do what you ask it to do. So what are we becoming better at doing? Asking good questions. Isn't that what leadership is all about? And so all of us in this room now need to become experts at asking questions. I'm sure many of you are readers like I am. I'm trying to become a reader. I'm trying. It's not been my skill. I am trying. There are some things you simply have to work on. But in reading, you're going to find out that most leaders, excellent leaders, are the ones who bring out the best in their teams by asking excellent questions. And the questions are always driven by a specific outcome. And at the moment, that's one of the areas in which computers simply can't keep up. We are driven by outcomes. And so are you clear about the outcome that you want to achieve, or are you simply doing the job that you have been given? If you're only answering the questions that your boss has asked you, what are you there for? That's the question. Also that we cannot be lazy anymore. Simply doing what you're expected to do, that's where technology simply begins to wipe people out. Have we heard about the Luddites? Have you heard of that terminology, Luddites, right? There's always going to be a technology shift. And the idea is this. When you introduce a new technology, for example, weaving machines. So this is not the first time, by the way, work has changed, right? So in the introduction of weaving machines, there were many jobs that were wiped off the table. Because before that machine where the loom could go as quickly as possible, hey, that meant somebody would have to sit down and actually do the crochet, do the actual weaving, and bring the fabric. But when you bring in a machine, suddenly, do you need that person who's there? No, you need one person to function in that same way. So with every technological shift, we have to become wiser. We have to build ourselves to go ahead of the work that's going on. And that's what we want to do today. So at Centonomy, as always, we are on a mission to shift mindset so that purposeful people like yourselves can create wealth and live abundantly. That is our purpose and our goal. And our mission is to help you to build wealth and to live abundantly. And so don't just consider the management of your money. Don't just consider the investment and the saving of your money, but also the creation of that money. And for most of us in this room, we do so through the work that we are doing. And that's why we're focusing on this morning. And so that we can save as much time as possible, we're going to have our first speaker for the day. She's been part of the Centonomy family now for a couple of years. She's done a few of these events, especially with our entrepreneurs. And we help them to really begin to think around this area of technology. She's been in she's the founder, and CEO of Tech Mindset Limited, and please do interact with her after this and how she can be able to assist you and your organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Joanne Mbesia as she comes to share on the future of work. A little bit more energy than that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning. It is a wonderful morning, a day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice in it. If you're familiar with that term, please sing in your hearts. My name is Joanne Mbesia. I am the founder and CEO of Tech Mindset Africa, and I'm also an author of a book called The Future in Technology Through a Woman's Eye. When you find time, just find it on Amazon. You can download it, you can read it at your free time. Today, I'm here to talk about, I don't know if I should call it a controversial topic or a topic that we should embark on, but what I can assure you, as a human resource person in this particular room, you are only one of the diverse career people who need to understand artificial intelligence. I think, Mr. Idaka, I'm going to shift with the microphone to and fro so that I can get engaging. Now, in this particular session, my objective with you is generally to help you understand. I don't want it to be a lecture. I want it to be as interactive as possible. I might call you on one thing or two to demonstrate something or to demonstrate how AI works. But just to get right into it, I'm going to start with the presentation. That is generally about me. If you have a mobile phone that is an Android or an iPhone with a camera, please point it to the QR code you're able to download so that I don't delve much into what I do. But this generally will give you a PDF of my bio. Oh, I don't. Yes, please just take 1 minute. As you do that, I want you to ponder this. Let me not block my own. I want you to ponder this. I had Mr. Waidaka ask you one question. How many people are using AI in their offices? I'm not going to ask that. But what I'm going to ask you is, how many people fear AI today? I'm one of them. Very few. How many people think AI is going to replace you? You as a human resource manager. You don't think AI is going to replace you? You will be shocked as you go. And lastly, how many people believe that human resource is going to be termed redundant in the next 5 to 10 years? Oh, several. Okay. Great. Why am I asking you this question? I want you to understand in this particular forum, as we discuss about AI, first of all, what artificial intelligence is and why it's important for you. Now, I will start with you. I will start with your employees, because I believe this particular forum is for human resource managers, assistants, etc. You are generally in human resource, and the people that you work with today will be the first to be affected. The work that is going to be done in the organizations that you do, whether you're in consultancy, whether you're in entrepreneurship, whether you are the director, CEO, founder, your employees, your work, your productivity is going to change. And you as the human resource person, it is important that you understand these dynamics that are going to happen in the next few years. If it's not happening now, it's going to happen slowly. And that is why we are here to interact and engage and identify how our workforce, how our employees, how our employers are going to start shifting towards what we call the use of artificial intelligence. So generally speaking, artificial intelligence is generally how you train a machine, how you train a system to think like you and me. What do I mean by that? For example, what do you do very well? You wake up in the morning and put out the curtains, right, to experience sunlight. You have the ability to train a machine to do the same in the morning. Wake up before you, pull out the curtains, and it will do better. It will greet you. For those of us who just wake up and go straight to work without saying hi to our families. The beauty about artificial intelligence is that immediately it is trained, immediately that system is trained, immediately that machine is trained, it learns on its own to become better based on what it gathers from you. Now, allow me just to focus this on the human resource fraternity. All right? What does a human resource do? I am not an expert in human resource, but there's one thing I know very well. A human resource manager can fire you and not blink. I've experienced that firsthand. I've been fired before. That is the role I can say without fear of contradiction a HR does. All right? But just to look at generally what a human resource does. A human resource generally does recruitment, right? Attracts good talent, retains, trains employees, and fires. Okay? So how can we, as human resource managers, how can we train AI machines or systems in our organizations? I'm not going to get into the technical details of that. How can we train HR to recruit very well? I want you to imagine this, okay? In your organization, and I'm going to look at the general way that you recruit a person to the time they join your organization up to the point they leave. Now, when they join your organization, you have the opportunity to use artificial intelligence to help you sift through thousands and thousands of CV into 10 in under 1 minute. Right now, that is happening in the world somewhere. All right? The second thing is, once you get your 10 CVs, as a human resource manager, you want the best 5. All right? Through the same system that has been trained with AI, you're able to now delve deeper into organization culture. You just feed the machine and tell them our culture is, we like, for example, to eat early, to say good morning very early, and we love enthusiastic people. Maybe those are your values in your organization. So you put those keywords into the AI system, and through those CVs, based on what they've told you they love doing, we'll see the best 3. And these are the 3 that you want to invite your organization for a one-on-one interview. And all this has been done under what? 2 minutes. That is the power of artificial intelligence, because it has been trained to do one thing very well: how to recruit. Now, your employee has entered the organization, you've interviewed them, you've had a one-on-one. How do you do right now? Maybe I'll ask one of you. How do you orient your employees? Anyone? How do you orient your employee? How do you? Yes. It's mostly one-on-one. Exactly. Now, that is about to change. Why am I saying that? Today, you're able to train an AI system through a chatbot to interact with an employee while you're working for the organization. So generally, what it's going to do, You put a machine in front of that person, they access the organization chatbot, and it will give them all documents that pertain to orientation, and then it will schedule departmental visits. And every person who is scheduled to take you as an employee round will be scheduled through the chatbot system. And all that will be done in the first hour, for example, of that employee getting into the organization. Now, another thing I want us to look at and be aware of is the future of work is going to be hybrid. What do I mean of that? By that, we are no longer going to have employees generally coming to the office. And not only that, they will not only be working with the organization. Let's brace ourselves. We might, you and I might, I'm not betraying my age, but I'm just saying we might not. But your children's children, or your children, your generation, the people you give care to, are going to work in more than 10 jobs at any given time, but still work for your organization. The question is, that is the future of work. That's the reality. And AI is going to enable that. The question is, would you know how to manage them? Let's delve deeper into understanding artificial intelligence based on just these few examples, all right? The first thing is, one of the common terms you will hear in AI is machine learning. Machine learning is generally having an algorithm, having a formula to read massive data and create sense out of it. Someone's concentration in work without asking them. This is what we call deep learning. The machine generally just reads the mood of your employee, and it would tell you through data that this person either is not happy, is satisfied, is not satisfied, or needs personal intervention. That is what deep learning is. It reads intricately into a person's, for example, visual, or intricately into data. And finally, what I want us to use today to demonstrate how we can use AI in this whole process of recruitment, retention, training, and exit is generative AI. Generative AI is basically putting one word into another. What do I mean? For example, I just want to try something in this front line. I want you to do a story, okay? You just start with a word, build up on it, build up on it, build up on it, and then conclude it. I will start. I went to.
I boarded a bus.
I went to work.
I went to the office.
I'm going to repeat that. Build up on the conversation. I went to
work this morning.
I looked at the files.
And Krista files were missing. So I had to look through the drawer to get them.
And when I got them, I realized that there were details that were missing on the file.
Please clap for that, for them. Did you know how the story was going to build up?
No.
She did not know. Did you know what she was going to start? That is generative AI. Generative AI requires a prompt. One prompt, and it will take massive data of billions and billions of data to guess the next word. At the end of the day, it brings you a story that is unique to the next. That is generative AI. And the question is, how can we use generative AI in human resource? Now, where had we reached on orienting an employee? Let's look at how you can retain an employee through upskilling. Now, with generative AI, we have the ability, and there are opportunities to train, your employees' personalized trainings. What do I mean by that? For example, Once you understand that my skills, for example, are mathematics, you have employed me as an accountant, but generally I might not really understand how my accountancy applies to human resource. So immediately, my system is going to pop up my next training skills, how to understand human resource from an accounting perspective. Maybe we're talking about budgets, maybe we're talking about financial projections, all right? That skill will be personalized to you because the next employee will not get the same skill. At the end of the day, when you learn how you learn will be enabled by AI. I don't know about your current training LMS, learning management systems, but today there are AI-enabled learning management systems that will help me learn differently from how you learn. For example, I'm going to give a realistic example of me. I learn better visually. If you give me notes and stories, you'll lose me along the way. But once AI understands that, I will learn accounting visually. You will learn accounting technically. Another person will learn accounting both ways because that is what it will get to know about me. I don't know, are we understanding the power of AI? Absolutely, because we are going to interact with it one way or another. Now, I want to use one great example. I know possibly we have used ChatGPT. I'm not going to ask how many, but I know we know about ChatGPT, and I hope you downloaded it. If you have not, please do so, because this is a game changer. And I'm not talking about the ChatGPT where you write an email or you write questions on behalf. I'm talking about a ChatGPT. This is generative AI that is able to help you brainstorm about the future of your organization. That is able to help you identify the best talents by diving deeper into your employees. That is going to help you generally look at how you can make your employees' lives better by understanding them, by analyzing their data and knowing if they're satisfied or not, by looking at the history of why people left your organization and what can we do so that we can retain them. I'm going to give an example using my own phone and my own ChatGPT. I'm going to ask, I'll use audio ChatGPT, all right? I'm going to ask ChatGPT a question, and I will call it a brainstorming companion. I want you to take your time when you leave here and go back to your organization. Try it out. If you're recruiting, try out and ask it to give you the best suggestions of the person you're recruiting. If you're going to use it, ask it to be your brainstorming companion to help your team come up with the best marketing strategy. Use it randomly. But today I'm going to use it in front of you. Okay, it is listening. You are an expert in educating Africa in artificial intelligence. Your job is to be my brainstorming partner to come up with unconventional moves that are congruent with what works for me. Here are 3 trends I see everyone doing right now in my industry. First is educating through social media. Second is creating AI programs for organizations. And thirdly is using partnerships to scale on AI education. Then ask which numbers I suspect or know are great. Interview me, one question at a time, pausing for my answers to find and distill how I differ from everyone in my industry. Be my brainstorming partner using yes, and to generate many ideas and how I can be a zag where everyone zigs. They should be compatible with my advantages, methods, and demonstrated results. Keep the conversation flowing so that we can cover many different ways I could try outlier moves. Don't worry about getting the right answer. We are brainstorming. Go for many different ideas.
interesting trends you've noted in your industry. Let's dive into your unique approach. Firstly, regarding educating through social media, have you explored incorporating interactive quizzes or challenges to engage your audience more effectively?
I have. In the past 1 year, I have used conventional social media platforms. What do you think about them?
Using conventional social media platforms is a good start, but to stand out, have you considered creating your own AI-focused social media platform or community? This could provide a dedicated space for learning and collaboration, tailored specifically to your audience's needs and interests.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. Allow me to use these examples another time because I have people waiting for me. Thank you.
Of course, if you ever want to explore more unconventional moves or brainstorm further ideas, feel free to reach out anytime. Good luck with your endeavors.
Thank you very much. That is just one example of AI as a brainstorming partner. I don't know, but do you recognize when your employees are going through a situation? Do you? Have you ever encouraged them personally on a one-on-one? Okay. Please listen to me and listen to me carefully. Sometimes our personal problems are because of human interaction. Sometimes we need technology to bring out the solution. Do you agree with me? Yeah. This is proof. And I encourage you to use this. Hi, ChatGPT, how are you today?
Sure, I'd be happy to use it. Could you please clarify what you're referring to?
I have a challenge, a personal challenge at my workspace, but I think I cannot speak to anyone. But I would love you to help me solve and see what I can do about it.
Of course, I'm here to help. What's the challenge you're facing at your workspace?
I feel that I'm not productive enough, and the reason is my HR manager does not want me to work from home, and I get overwhelmed every day. Do you have a suggestion on how I can approach HR or any manager to convince them that I can work from home?
It sounds like you're looking for a way to communicate effectively with your HR manager about working from home. One approach could be to gather evidence of your productivity and present it to them. You could also highlight the benefits of remote work, such as ability and things for the company. Additionally, you could propose to demonstrate.
No, thank you. But one more thing. There's a man who looks at me funnily in the organization. And I'm not sure if the intention is right. How should I deal with this situation?
If you're feeling uncomfortable with someone's behavior towards you in the organization, it's important to address it. You can start by setting boundaries and avoiding being alone with that person if possible. If the behavior continues.
Thank you. That's all I needed. Bye-bye. I'll talk to you next time.
You're welcome. Take care and feel free to reach out anytime you need assistance.
Absolutely. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how your employees and yourselves will have the ability to use AI. From the point where you recruit to the point where you create training programs to the point where you brainstorm more on how you can make the organization better, to the point where you learn from the people who've exited the organization to create better strategies of retaining your employees. How many people now have a better understanding of the ability and the power of AI? I'm glad that you understand. And these are the impacts that we are going to face when we go back to work. The question is, and you'll ask yourselves, where do I start? All you need to understand, you can never give from an empty cup. You cannot ask people to start understanding AI if you, as the head of human resource, does not understand. My encouragement to you today is upskill yourself. If you'll not learn it through Tech Mindset Africa, learn it online. Get to understand, non-technically, it is possible, artificial intelligence and how it can empower your organization to work better. From that particular point, then start with what you know. You understand ChatGPT. We have proven that you can start with that. Don't delve into very technical things like machine learning and deep learning. Start using ChatGPT in your boardroom meetings. Start using ChatGPT in writing to your boss or writing to your customers. Start using ChatGPT in a small way, in one way or another. And from that particular point, ladies and gentlemen, start applying now the nitty-gritties of AI like chatbots to get to understand and start collecting data to get to understand your employees, what they like, what they prefer, how they would like to be treated. Those who want to work from home, because they will. Those who want to work from your organization, what do they prefer? Reward them at every milestone, and AI is making that capable. But first of all, understand it as a human resource manager. I'd like to end with this particular quote from Jeff, not actually a quote, something that I listened from Jeff Bezos. This is what he said. People keep asking him every time he gives talks or in his organization, what is the next trend? What is the next future? What is the future? But what he's never asked is, what is not going to change? You should ask yourself that question in your organization. What is not going to change? Is it how you produce your product? Is it how you treat your customers? Is it how you interact with them? Is it how you create your research in your organization? What is not going to change? And then find ways to use artificial intelligence to double up on that, because then you'll not be focusing on what is not there. You'll be focusing at what you are good at. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm open for any questions from you, just one or two, and I'm happy to answer them as I stand here. Thank you very much.
It's first come, first serve. So if you, there you go. I knew somebody was waiting.
Thank you, Joanne. My name is Dr. Nduati.
Thank you.
I'm the founder of Women in HR. I just have one question.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you've said it's really good to use AI in organization.
Absolutely.
But there's also the aspect of threat that comes in with it. And I'll just swing back on machine learning and then a little bit of deep learning in the aspect of when it comes to data, because data is what is power, and that is what ChatGPT and any AI platform is working on.
Absolutely.
How best can we protect ourselves? Because we sit on a lot of data that we can play around and create enough metrics that can enable the organization to grow. But also it creates a threat in where it can learn us way better and create a threat either to our competitors or just the downfall of it. So what measures can we put in place, especially where you have teams who want to have brainstorming activities with AI in regards to self-improvement or even organizational improvement? What measures can we put in place, or are there platforms that enable us to get it right while using it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. And allow me to take the second question in case there is, so that I can answer them simultaneously.
If there's not, we will move on quickly. Any other question? There's one there, yeah.
Thank you very much, Joanne, for that insightful session. So mine is, I think, is in line with what Dorcas has said, because at times for ChatGPT to give you the relevant answers. It needs to have some background information on you. So, and it needs to know you, maybe the data, and some of it might be private, that you would not want to share and be out there in the internet or wherever. So how do you ensure that you protect yourself? So my question is also in line with that, and ensure that your data is protected while you're getting answers that are relevant to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So I'll tie this up to the first question.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
My name is Richard J. Magoma. My question is, when you ask people, do they think that they are going to be replaced? A majority of them who are comfortable saying that they will not be replaced, which is an indicator of resistance to change. So what do you think we should do about resistance to change, which is sometimes very subtle? Thank you very much, Joan.
That's an excellent question. Thank you very much. No problem. I will use this microphone. Okay, so the first and second questions are similar. How can we protect ourselves from data? And the first thing I'll say, and these are very, very important questions moving forward, because you are going to give a lot of information for AI to work. The internet does not forget. Remember that. So every time you feel any information, remember the internet does not forget. Do not bypass the small words where they say terms and conditions of use. That is where they get you. Okay? But the question is, how can we protect ourselves? Very simple. If we have the intention of starting to use AI, we have to put in policies and task forces to put in guidelines and ways in which we state that data, this data is important, this data is not important, this data is going to be used, this data is not going to be used. But before we even get there, yourself, even before you give data to your organization, you have already, if you're using internet today, not even internet, if you're using a mobile phone that you registered and switched it on for the first time, do you know they took your information yesterday? All the photos that you take are online. The question is, what are they going to do with it? Now, I will start with your personal intention. When you are asked about data, ask what for. Don't be shy, no matter how in a hurry you are. Remember, the internet does not forget. When they ask you for your photo for one reason or another, read the details how they are going to use the internet or your images. And then thirdly, once you are comfortable, don't share what you do not want. Don't share an image that, for example, has your children in it. Don't share information that is really pointing you to your strengths. Just share what is necessary. Once you understand that point, then scale it to your organization. If for example, the data department is asking for your data, you have a right to ask what. You have a right to stop giving them that information. You have a right to take back your data because it belongs to you. However, you signed a HR contract with them, but there is personal information that you did not sign for. Now, this is generally what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. We will put systems in future as we get to understand AI. But if you have the intention of starting to use AI in your organization, have the way you have a department, have an ethical department to manage who puts in data, have people been informed of why their data is being collected, how will it be used. If it's your consumers' data, your consumers have the right to know, and anyone else, even if they ask the customer care, should know. It should not be retained in the data center or IT department. Even the janitor should know why data is being used in that organization. Once you start with that slowly, then we are able to control how we use, analyze, and implement data. I hope I've answered your question. both of your questions. And to the third question, and lastly, when you're asked, do you think you will be replaced? This is what I say. Yes, as much as some jobs are going to be termed redundant, when someone asks you that question, you say no anyway. But this is what you answer. You say, your job is not going to be replaced, but the person who uses AI is going to replace you. Do you understand? I'm going to repeat again. If you're a human resource manager and you ask if you're going to be replaced, you say no. But a human resource manager who uses AI is going to replace you. Do I make sense? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you go about your endeavors and to be future-proof in what you do starting today, understand AI from your domain expertise, and you will survive. Not only that, your generations and generations will thank you for that. Thank you very much, Mr. Waithaka, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so a little bit more advice, because this is something we've been working together, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'll say this. Please do begin to engage lawyers around the legal elements of data protection. We're going to go into data protection just now, but it is, okay. How many of you have read the entire terms and conditions for the Microsoft Office that you use every single day? Excel, Word, PowerPoint. Has anyone here actually read it? So that is why yes, it is impossible. It's literally impossible for anyone who is a normal user of the technology that we have to be able to engage with it at that level. And so that is why you need to engage legal professionals. Why is this? Because even before we started hearing about ChatGPT, most of the large legal firms here in Kenya had already begun to use the AI to go through legal documentation like that, to simply flag any of the issues that are faced. It is unlikely you're going to be able to handle it yourself. So engage legal professionals, especially on that area of what can we do and what can we not. The smaller firms that are in the room that are wondering, okay, now we don't even have a lawyer who do engage. There are consultants who can be able to assist you with that. Please do look into that. But don't say that I don't have the resource. The opportunity, because you're using the resource in place, it's going to be vital that you work through that. So Joanne, thank you so much for sharing that. Please do engage with Joanne further beyond this and other experts in the field. Now, because we knew this was going to be the very next question, that's what the next part of our discussion is going to be about, the role of HR in data protection. All right, and we have a data protection officer from ODPC, that's Yusuf Momanyi. Can we put our hands together for him as he gives us that direction? Asante. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the first speaker. That was a very powerful speaking. And now, the questions that people will ask ourselves is, what do we do with the data? Mr. Waithaka asked that, who has ever read terms and conditions, even for Safaricom, for the line we use, Airtel, for the banks we use? No one reads, right? Personally, I don't read. I just go down there, stick yes, and then we move on. Now, since we know that most of us won't read and we'd never read, even those people who draft those things, if you ask them, point 5.1, what does it say? They can't remember. So that's why the Office of the Data Protection is here to help those people who don't want to read. So tumewarahisishia kazi. Now, you're wondering, you're seeing Google Pizza, and I'm from Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. First, I have no affiliation with Google. Google does not own any pizza farm, so this is just for illustration purposes. So I'm just going to play a video.
Is this Pizza Hut?
No, sir. It's Google Pizza.
I must have dialed the wrong number. Sorry.
No, sir. Google bought Pizza Hut last month.
Okay, I would like to order a pizza.
Do you want your usual, sir?
My usual. You know me?
According to our caller ID data sheet, the last 12 times you called, you ordered an extra large pizza with 3 cheeses, sausage, pepperoni, mushrooms, and meatballs on a thick crust.
Super. That's what I'll have.
May I suggest that this time you order a pizza with ricotta, arugula, sun-dried tomatoes, and olives on a whole wheat gluten-free thin crust?
What? I don't want a vegetarian pizza.
Your cholesterol is not good, sir.
How the hell do you know that?
Well, we cross-referenced your home phone number with your medical records. We have the result of your blood tests for the last 7 years.
Okay, but I do not want your rotten vegetarian pizza. I already take medication for my cholesterol.
Excuse me, sir, but you have not taken your medication regularly. According to our database, you purchased only a box of 30 cholesterol tablets once at Lloyd's Pharmacy 4 months ago.
I bought more from another pharmacy.
That doesn't show on your credit card statement.
I paid in cash.
But you did not withdraw enough cash according to your bank statement.
I have other sources of cash.
That doesn't show on your latest tax returns, unless you bought them using an undeclared income source, which is against the law.
What the hell?
I'm sorry, sir. We use such information only with the sole intention of helping you.
Enough already. I'm sick to death of Google, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and all the others. I'm going to an island without the internet, TV, where there is no phone service and no one to watch me or spy on me.
I understand, sir, but you need to renew your passport first. It expired 6 weeks ago.
See, people are laughing. You're wondering, but this is the reality, right? It's reality. Now, let me just ask, you said it's reality, I'll ask you. Do you have an email account? Which one? A Gmail one. Now, do you get your bank statements to that Gmail? When 30th June is near, what do you do on 30th June? Where does it go to? That email. Do you have a passport? Ama bado unaenda kupanga line huko? You use the Citizen platform. Using which email? Where you work, you applied using which email? That one email. Do you have a social media account? LinkedIn, Facebook? Which email? EO2. That's the one we use. Even Kenya Power, when we want to apply for Kenya Power, we use which email? That one email. Yes, but don't be fearful. The good thing is we are here. We are here as ODPC now. Yes, we're being watched. Yes, there's always a big brother. Remember, we were told the internet never forgets. Yeah. Okay. Now, I'll just do a small introduction on data protection. So the Constitution of Kenya 2010 guarantees the right to privacy as a fundamental right. We all have rights that we enjoy: right to privacy, right to life, right to association. So for us here, it's right to privacy as a fundamental right. It is in Article 31 of the Constitution. Every person has the right to privacy, which includes the right not to have information relating to their family or private affairs unnecessarily required or revealed. And also the privacy of their communications infringed. And also Article 35 ensures that the right of every person to the correction or deletion of untrue or misleading information that affects a person. So hold on to these two. We'll see how it will assist. I see technology is failing me, so it means I'm not going to be replaced. So sisi watu wa mkono, we are safe. Okay. Thank you. So the Data Protection Act came into law on 25th November 2019. It gave effect to Article 31 of the Constitution as the overarching legislative framework, and also is to establish the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, whose mandate is to regulate the processing of personal data. So us, we don't have anyone's personal data. So you won't come to us and tell me, what do I have about you? We do not do that. We only regulate people who have your information. So I won't delve much into what the office does. We regulate the processing of personal information. Again, it's failing me. So, okay, just go there. So, what is personal data? So, personal data is any information that can be used to identify a person. So, that is your name, your photo, your email address, your bank details, mobile device IDs. For those people who use iPhones, these days we don't need a SIM card, right? We use eSIM. You know the mobile device ID is that IMEI number. It is linked. Now we can know who you are. Your IP address. So if you are logged into this Wi-Fi network, the IT practitioners can be able to know who is in the IT network. So since we've said personal data is any information that can be used to identify a person, is your shoe size personal data? Yes? Anyone who's contrary opinion? We all agree? Yes? So, okay, if you are rich, or if you aspire to be rich, go to London, Westminster, a street called Savile Row, where you can get bespoke shoes. You know, the same way we say that our fingerprints are not identical, it's the same as our shoe size. As long as we say I wear number 7, but remember some feet are wide, long, fat, all those. So, yeah, so personal data is any information that can be used to identify a person. But we also have another category known as sensitive personal data. So this includes your health status, your ethnic social origin, your conscious belief, genetic data, biometric data, property details, and also your marital status. Are you married? At least she's learning, It's sensitive. Now, if I may ask, since we've seen health status, your social origin, family details, also including the names of the person's children, parents, your spouse, sex or sexual orientation. Now, if I ask, how many genders are there?
The pronouns are so many.
She says 3. 2. 2 which are? Male and female. So in your forms, I'm sure you are all HR here. Usually have forms we fill. You've put 2. 2 only. Yours has 3. Other. Does Constitution of Kenya 2010, does it have others? Which are these others? So are they 2 now? According to Constitution of Kenya, not what we believe, not what you believe. If they are they and whatever. But so now there are 2, according to the Constitution of Kenya. Who said 2? There's someone who said 2 here. You said 2 only. Your other hakuna. Okay. I see if I work in the organization you work for, I can sue you. The Constitution of Kenya allows for 3. Male, female, and intersex. Intersex, not transgender. Intersex. Yes, so remember, if you don't include them, you are contravening the Data Protection Act, because all of us are equal, including intersex. If you don't believe me, just go and Google. In 2019, the Supreme Court actually ruled on that. Now, even when we say we have also a right to association. I remember, was it last year or 2022, there was this group. It starts with L, it ends with Q. They were, and plus, there's that group. They went to court and they said they want to form associations. And the Supreme Court allowed. But I saw our MPs, those people went to protest, but they were given that ability to form associations because it's a fundamental right. But I'm not saying that I support or not, so don't say ODPC says that we support this group. That is what I'm trying to say, that we have to be sensitive. Remember, if you go to other jurisdictions, especially to the West, these are topics you cannot just speak about anyhow, the way I'm saying it here. In fact, I've been saying about these things, I could be kicked out of this place. So, as HR, I'm sure you usually have information for everyone in the office. Anyone who here is in government? Anyone in government? Okay. I remember like 2 months ago, or was it January, we were told to fill, to refill, the one for ESCC, our wealth declaration, right? Remember? And also bring for your spouse. Now, you're able to see everyone's wealth. Now, if you see someone who's an officer like myself and my boss, nimemshinda pesa, that will be the talk of the office. And I see my senior is here, our head of HR, she's here. I'm sure she knows mine, my net worth. Please don't tell anyone, it is sensitive, personal information. So, even when we talk about health status, remember 2 years, 3 years ago, COVID? So if you heard that I had COVID, what's the first thing? You ran away from me. Until now, we know the information. Now, if someone comes to the HR, we usually fill this, what do you call it? The health medical form we fill before you get employed. We fill them. So if I have a certain disease, which if I tell people will start, I'll face stigma, it's usually bad, right? So I'll come to HR and I feel I'm suffering from this disease, and then I give the form. 2 weeks later, people are avoiding me. I wonder what's happening. And it's not even a contagious disease. Where was the weak link? And who's usually the biggest weak link? Even in AI and technology, the weakest link is usually not HR, but the human. Yes, so whenever we have this information which are here, regardless if it's sensitive or just the normal personal data, we have to be very careful with the information. For those who know about our office, you've seen we have been fining a lot of people. When I came in, I saw there's a photography disclaimer. And then it said that you've waived my right. Does it say that? Did you read that photography notice? Even it's here. We can read it together. So, dear esteemed guests, thank you for attending a Centonomy Limited event. We want to inform you that by registering and signing below, you grant us the right and permission to use photographs and videos taken of you to reproduce and distribute an image in which it may appear in any media. Okay. So if you have any concerns about this, please don't hesitate to contact our event organizer. So we should clap for Centonomy. They have done the right thing. Yes, this is actually what we want people to do. So if you want to take people's photos, please inform them. Because we find a particular nightclub known as Casavera. You look like you go there a lot, eh? Yeah. We find them because they took someone's photo. This person went to them and told them, please remove my photo. You know, it can compromise me. Please remove it. And these people are being ignorant. Remember, for us to fine you, it takes a lot. We don't really want to fine everyone, because if you were to fine people, trust me, we'll come for each and every one of you. If I go to your company's social media and I ask, do you ask for consent? Even for an employee, did you ask for their consent? Majority are no. But if someone reaches out and says, I want to complain, or please remove my photo, you have to do it. Even if Centonomy, even if I have come to this event and I have read this and I've agreed, and then 2 days later or 1 hour later I decide I don't want my photo to be displayed on their platforms, they have to abide by my wishes. Now, since we are all HR, I'll just go to the principles of data protection. This one is used by everyone, regardless if you're HR or not. So the first one is lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. So whenever you are processing information, and processing of personal data means collecting, storing, and also sharing of information. So you have to collect it or process it in a lawful way. You have to be fair and transparent. Remember that when you were told by the first speaker, always ask why. So you have to be fair. Tell them why I need this information. You have to also be transparent and say that this information will be used for this, this, and that. The next one is purpose limitation. Only collect this information for the intended purpose. So if I was coming up here and then I'm asked, what's your marital status for me to access this event? Is it relevant? No. Data minimization. About purpose limitation and data minimization. So whenever you are processing people's information, just stick to the intended purpose and also minimize. Like, there's a tendency I usually see. You usually tell us to bring 3 passport photos, 3 copies. Why do you need all these things? The government. So let me. Okay, since you're saying the government, I work for government. You see my tie is which color? Parliamentary. Eh? Parliamentary navy blue. This tie color. Okay, since I'm get, wacha ninyam tuendelee. Now, who has ever been to One Africa Place? That's across. You've been there. There's some good restaurants there. Intinike, Botanica. So I'm not going to talk about the hotel, the restaurants. Who has been there? Did you go there before 2019? Before 2021, actually. Now, when you're going there, I don't know if you realized, when you're giving your ID, your face was being scanned. Now, have you been there 2022, 2023, like this year? Who has been there this year? One Africa Place? Was your face scanned? Now, it is because of our office, we actually stop them. Because I need to access a restaurant. This is a publicly accessible area. Why do you need my biometric, my face? Even? For your fingerprint. So whenever you go to any establishment and they ask you for this, please decline and tell them, have you referred to the Data Protection Act? And the good thing is just you can report to us. Just go to our website, www.odpc.go.ke. It's very easy, or on our social handles, you can report. So for that, for that One Africa Place, we needed to stop them because it's not relevant. Remember the purpose. I just want to access. You want to, according to the Private Security Act, the only thing that I can give out is my ID. So for those who usually refuse to give their IDs, that is in the law. But any other thing, I can decline to give unless it's necessary. The next principle is accuracy and accountability. And this is where we usually say, for those people who are asked to bring 3 copies of your ID or what do you call passport photo, we say because we want to see if it's accurate. Who has ever lost their ID? Majority of us. And we went to Huduma Center and we got a new one. Now, have you ever gone to ask for a new ID, a duplicate, without even losing your ID? You know, have you seen people with 2 IDs, you want a duplicate and the original one? And even they go again and they get another one. Now, people usually say, now I have 2 IDs. If I lose this one, I can use the other one. But I'm sorry to say, once you go for a duplicate, the original ID is disabled. You can't use it. There's that serial number there. And that's why banks, insurance, ask for your ID and then aneka hapo chini. Do you know what they're doing? No, they're not even scanning. They're verifying from the government system to know if this is a legitimate ID, because it's very easy to come up with a duplicate, a fake ID. We see many people being caught, especially River Road, with fake IDs. So, and that's why it's very important. If you lose your ID, it's important to get an abstract. Some people say if they lose, okay, I'll just go to Huduma Center next week, then they stay like that without an ID. If someone gets that ID, they can open bank accounts, do fraud, and then we'll come for you who didn't do the thing. Anyway, the next one is storage limitation. Anyone who works for a company that is older than 60 years here? Okay, 100 years. I see 100 years. Do you have files for employees of, since it's 100 years, it is 1924. Do you have files for 1924 employees? Okay. So we did an audit for a firm known as Finlay's. You know, remember Finlay's for tea? You know, they have files for people even 1890. So usually ask, is this information, even in Kenya, if you have land, after 100 years, you have to renew. So any information that is like 100 years, is it really relevant to have? Unless you're doing it for archiving purposes. So you need to have a reason as to why you're keeping it. So ask yourself in your organization, if you have files that you feel that are irrelevant, you keep them in a drawer somewhere, ask yourself, is this really important to have? Either destroy or anonymize or pseudonymize. So, and the last one is integrity and confidentiality. So whenever you're processing information, you have to be, hii tumefunzwa kila mahali, mambo integrity and confidentiality. Now, to finish on this, and that aspect of anonymity and pseudonymity, which county produces the best husbands? Yeah? Pseudonymity. Pseudonym, yes. I hope, for those who are asking, anonymization is, for example, let's say I say, this is X. Pseudonymity is, for those who read like newspapers, use a fake name. Let's assume this person is called Mary, or use a number. That is anonymity and pseudonymity. Now, the question I was asking, which county has the best husband? This is according to a study that was done by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and the Ministry of Health. I know why you are asking. I tell you. Not that I come from there. This, okay, you can Google it. I'm not making this stuff up. Anyway, according to that, yes, she said it. It is Kisii County. I'm not making this stuff up. Now, my name is Yusufu Momanyi, so now, why I ask this question? Now, if you go to that website, okay, I could have asked in a different way. We know counties that people have high cases of cancer, we know. High cases of alcoholism, we know. But nikiuliza husbands hamtaki. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this is, you see the way KNBS do. Can we really pinpoint who these husbands are? We just know numbers. We say that 30%, 20%. So whenever also doing studies, or whenever you're doing statistics, it's important to anonymize and pseudonymize, especially information that can compromise someone. So if in your organization you say there are 20, do you do tribes in your office? For in government, you have to indicate your tribe. And remember, it's sensitive information. Does your organization do yours? Do you ask for your tribe or race? Race, yes. Or region, where you come from. So someone asks, why is this really important? Or you go to an interview, you see your CV, you're overqualified, but someone who comes from the ASAL region, you find they get the job. Do you know why that happens? It's because of affirmative action. So whenever you're processing any information, you need to have a reason as to why you need this data. So if you ask for my race and I ask you, why do you need my race? Why do you need my ethnic social origin? Why do you need my conscious belief? Though that one I hardly see it these days. Where are you a Christian? Are you a Buddhist? Are you a whichever? These days I don't see it anymore. But for people who ask, you need to have a solid reason as to why. So I want to finish on this, and these are the lawful bases. So any information that you collect, it has to align to this. And the first one is consent. So whenever you ask for my information, I need to give you my consent. But if I can't give you my consent, you can rely on these other ones. The second one is performance of a contract. This one is between now, for example, employer and employee. And that's why as HR, you'll ask for some certain information, even more information. Legal obligation. There's this, what's it called? The 1.5% housing levy. At that time it was there. If you liked it or not, was there anything you could do? It's still there. Actually, it is now there. Eh? If you like it or not, will you do anything? No, because it's illegal. And I've seen that the zone called SHIF, the social, it's coming in 1st July, HR, payroll. If someone comes and complains to you, is there anything you can do? No, because it's a legal obligation. And also, the next one is vital interest of the data subject. If I faint here, what will you do?
I have to perform first aid.
I'm not responding.
Lazima.
So I'll die. So the first thing you should do, if you can't do first aid, you take me to the nearest health facility, or you call. These days, there's that 911. You call it, and then they'll come and assist me. In that case, will the doctor need my consent to try and see what's wrong with me? Because it's in my vital. You've ever seen this, someone who's lost and found, lost, this person is lost, you share it on WhatsApp. It's because it's in the vital interest of that person. And the next one was public authority, public interest. Oh, public interest. So for public interest, if, remember those, yeah, I will share the presentation, I'll share with everyone. So for public interest, the best example I can give, remember if the public comes and says that this person who's doing something, people can go and check. Nyumba Kumi initiative, ama sini wasi wa Nairobi. We don't know Nyumba Kumi. You know Nyumba Kumi? Yes. There's a lady looking at me there, she's wondering what is Nyumba Kumi. If you go to your rural home, the government introduced something called Nyumba Kumi, where it is important to know your next 10 neighbors. And the reason for that is for security purposes. Remember in 2009, 10, there were a lot of insecurity cases. So the government introduced something called Nyumba Kumi initiative. So, for example, if you see someone behaving in a funny way, we go to the police or the chief and tell them that we see someone behaving in a certain way. Please come and sort this issue out. There are people who are collecting irises. There was public outcry, and the government needed to do something. And the next one was public authority. This one is enjoyed by public institutions, like us. Yeah. So for public authority, institutions like Kenya Revenue Authority, they can check your accounts if they see that on your social media you're driving a lot of Mercedes-Benz, but what you're filing so they have the public authority to investigate. Yes, and the next one was, for those who took pictures, legitimate interest. This one is enjoyed upon by private institutions, like Centonomy. They will take my photo and post it on. It is because of it's their legitimate interest. If you are a profit-making company, you will need a lot of information. Banks need a lot of KYC. It's because of legitimate interest. Remember, the sole purpose of a company is to make profit and return value to shareholders. So they'll need your information. Safaricom, without your ID, they cannot give you a line. Sindio, anywhere you go in this country, without an ID or a passport, you can't get any service because of a legitimate interest for you to get the service. And the last one was? Historical. This one is, yes, that one is relied upon by historical companies, research, and also journalists. Remember the first question I asked on which county produces the best husband? They rely on that whenever they are doing their studies. Even for censors, they come to your home. They'll ask you a lot of questions. And now to finish, who has Huduma number here? You remember Huduma number? You tried, eh? Anyone who knows why it failed or why it was too much information? So they didn't do something called a data protection impact assessment. That one is, you remember the way whenever the SGR was being built and it was passing through Nairobi National Park and also Savo, and then it had a lot of problems. They needed to do what is called a environmental impact assessment. The YT2 term, riparian land, ilianza kutoka hapo. Remember that one? So from that assessment, once they are passing in an area where it can destroy the environment, they need to put it up. So if you go to Nairobi National Park, it's up. If you go to Savo, it's up, so that animals can be able to cross. Now in data protection, the reason for this data protection impact assessment is to assess any risk that might arise from high risk processing. Remember, I saw this Carrefour. Someone leaked their payroll. Na tukaona watu wanalipwa how much. So, like for myself, where I come from Kisii, I've told people, Nairobi naumia, but now our HR leaks our payroll. Alafu people see that Yusuf Momanyi, hii ndio pesa unapata. Na tunatuambianga hapa, So, and this is just a fun example I'm giving, but remember there are other sensitive information that can go out there and it can compromise someone. Now, to finish, there's this mobile lending company. You know mobile lending companies is kuchukua loan. In fact, those ones are the biggest headaches for many people. So they took a lady's information, mtu amechukua loan, haraka, but she was unable to pay. Now, on your apps, usually allow that app to 1, access your phone book, 2, to access your gallery. Now, this mobile lending company reached out to everyone on that phone book and told them that this person amekataa kulipa loan. Who has ever received such a call or a message? Yeah, there are many. Now, since you get a call and then you'll just disregard it, sindio? That's what you'll do. Now, since this company was unable to get this money, what did they do? They went to the gallery, found explicit photos of that lady, share it with everyone. Huyu amekataa kulipa loan, ona vitu anafanya. The lady took her life. So you see importance of taking care of our personal information. And also as institutions who we have given you our information, please take care of it. And that is the end of my presentation. Nimeenda on a low note. Anyway, thank you very much. And any question?
We'll take a couple of questions and then we move on from there. So there's one here. Okay, there are 4 questions, 5. That's it. We are coming to you. There we go. As quickly as possible, and we'll answer as we go. So to go to the next one. Yes, please.
I'm not going to repeat my name, that it's Richard. my question is, thank you very much for a wonderful and elaborate and very hilarious presentation. My question is, I admire you. I put your picture on my status. Is that illegal?
But so there's an exemption to this act, and we actually unfortunately don't deal with personal household processing. Ile za ati sijui umekosana bibi yako, or also ati umenipiga picha yangu. But for that one, there's a redress where it's computer misuse and cybercrime. So if you use my photo on like social media in a wrong way, I can actually still report you now to the police. Now it becomes a criminal case. But once you want to take my photo, you need to ask for my consent, which is no.
Right, I need the other microphone, please. So we'll start from there. It's coming this way. It's coming this way. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Titus. Thank you so much.
Sometimes it's quite impractical. So in the event someone uses your information, and then you reach out to that institution or person and tell them, please remove my information, delete my information, forget me, and they refuse, that's where you can get a legal address through the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. But it is very important, even I'll just tell Centonomy, to have a place where someone can tick yes or no. See that photography disclaimer? You can have it on your signing sheet. Yeah. And what we've advised, this now is unconventional, this is not the office saying, this is now my personal opinion. We've advised, for example, nightclubs, if you have a section where people can, if you don't want photos, go to this side, or wear a band. There's a nightclub known as Cavalli, it is somewhere here. So they ask you, if you don't want your photos, okay, if you want photos, wear a neon band. And then after you leave the establishment, you give out. So you need to come up with ways, because sometimes it's quite impractical. And someone might tick yes, and then they come and say that you took my information without my consent. Yeah.
Okay, we only can take those 5 over here. So there are 3 here and 1 on this other side.
Thank you. My name is Daniel. My question regards to the information that we usually give when you are entering buildings, that manual book. We give our name, phone number, and ID. It has been misused previously, that to advertise or to register phone numbers. You also talked about archiving of information. For example, the guard who's down here, that book that he's using, is it regulated? Is there a way to control use or misuse of such?
Okay, thank you for that. That's something that we've noticed, and that book, how it is highly misused, it's usually used by politicians, actually. They come and take photos, they know, and then you get, especially during election time, and they tell your name and where you live, please vote for me, because you accessed a certain building. So what we are doing, actually, we are developing what we call a guidance notes on private security. We've developed guidance notes for photography, for education, for financial services, but now we're developing for that, and we're working with the regulatory, private security regulatory authority. The one waliwaambia mlipe guards 30,000. So you know that one. So we'll work with them because we want to develop guidance notes on how to regulate those books. So it's something that is on the books working. We are working on it. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan. For us, our legal team advises against the implied consent. So we introduce a consent form for employees. But unfortunately, you find some employees are not willing to commit to that form. So maybe you can advise us what other measures we can introduce, because you find you have like internal events. For such a case, if an employee who did not give consent and maybe they are captured in a group photo, can you then, can you use it for internal, because we have a platform, we post such pictures. If we use it for internal use, will we be violating their data privacy? And 2, maybe what other measures can we use for those employees who are not willing to give consent?
That's a tough question. But remember the lawful basis, performance of a contract. You see that contract you have between employer and employee. So if they refuse for their photos to be used, even if it's internally, it's actually their right. Because according to the performance of the contract, there was no clause stating that you can use my photos. You see, for the contract, you can't really put anything there, because that contract is also guided by the Employment Act. So, okay, again, remember, unless you're going to pay me, if you want to use someone's, okay, the way we hire influencers or we hire marketing firms to do things for us, we usually pay those people, right? So if you want to use my image, you pay me. So what you can do, first of all, sensitize staff, and if you're using it internally, that is okay, if it's for internal use. But the moment it goes to your website, social media, remember, we deem it as marketing. So there's some monetary aspect to it. So unless you're going to pay someone, if someone agrees, okay, and make sure they sign. So that if you have an event, people sign, and they give consent that their photo can be used. If someone gave their consent and you use their photo, and then they come back and tell you that I want my photo to be removed, you have no option but still remove it, even if they signed. For consent, and according to the consent guidance note, consent can be withdrawn, and it's a right. I can withdraw my consent. Yes. And it looks bad, but remember, some people don't want their photos to be seen, and the human being is the sovereign, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that fantastic presentation. My name is Nduati Saboke, and my question is, kindly just elaborate a bit on where liability falls. When does it fall on an individual in a business, and when does it fall on the business itself? When do you find the person, and when do you find the business for leaking data? Yes.
So, when do you find the person and when do you find the business? So one will look at, did you sensitize your staff on data protection? Do you have a privacy policy? And by the way, does all your organization have a privacy policy? Yes. That is required by law. The same way you go to any website, you will see a privacy policy. The organization also needs to have. So if you've done all that, and then it's someone who has done it, then once someone, for example, reports that your organization has done this, and then you find that person, we can now be able to channel it to the person, but it's usually the company that is liable. But once we do investigation and we find it's that particular person, remember, we don't find individuals, but we can now take another legal cause for that person. But institutions are the ones which we actually go after mostly. Yes. But sensitive to your staff.
Thank you so much. I requested for the chance. Thank you. I wanted to ask, number one, the data protection policy officer, should every company have one? Who should it be? What is the criteria for getting them? That is one. And two, does your office have sensitization sessions that we can do for staff, especially when we are working with foreigners who are employed in Kenya?
Okay, thank you for that. I'll start with the second one. Yes, if you just write to our office, I'll leave my details. Yes, we do sensitize institutions. So if you need your institution to be sensitized, you can just write to us, and I will show you how to do it. I'll just leave after the event and how you can do it. So you just call us, we'll come. And the first question, the officer. Oh,
you have to have one.
It's not mandatory to have one. Sometimes what we've advised institutions, if they can't have one, is form a committee. That committee, one should come someone from HR, someone from finance, someone from front office, someone from legal, ICT, marketing. Yeah. And anyone else who deals with personal information. Yeah. But it's not mandatory, it's something optional. Yes, and you don't need to be an ICT practitioner, you don't need to be a legal, you can be anything, as long as you get the fundamentals of data protection. Personally, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm still doing data protection. So anyone can be a data protection officer, and as long as they have the necessary skill set. Yeah.
Excellent. Can we give Yusuf another hand? Amazing job. I mean, I've been to many of these talks and you feel like, oh my goodness, when are you going to end? So ladies and gentlemen, this is just part of our journey as Centonomy in giving back, because as we said many times, we come to your organization and we're offering a service, but we also want to make sure that when you leave this place, you have learned something. Have you learned something so far? Now I want to give you a couple of things for you to go with. So first of all, please just note, our founder, Waceke Nduati, has written an amazing book called Making Sense. It's available at the back there. And today, we are giving away some wonderful bookmarks with a link that you can be able to join the podcast that is available to help you to continue to think deeply about your personal finance. It's only at 1,000 shillings because we are not delivering it to anything. It's 1,000 shillings available here. If you have any problem employees, especially around personal finance, just get them a copy, right? Then they'll not come to you. Help them at that point that they can be able to go. So please do get that copy there. It's stories from here in Kenya. Many of the books that you've read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill and his book, they're all from other countries, right? In this book of Making Sense, it's stories like you. We had a young gentleman from the coastal area, lady here, an executive like yourselves here in Nairobi, and the experiences that they've had and what journey they've been through financially. Very quickly as we come to an end, I have a question for you because you are the culture leads in your organizations, right? How do you change a culture? Come on, give me some ideas. How do you change culture? By doing what? Practicing, okay. Anything else? Training in it, yes? Employee engagement. These are terminologies I don't understand. What is employee engagement? Sorry, I'm CEO, I'm not HR. I don't understand. What is employee engagement? What does that mean? So there are actions that you have to take. What is culture other than the habits and the practices of a specific people? Did you hear that? The habits and the what? Practices. So you have to practice a culture. So even as we begin to talk about the idea of personal finance, you have to think about it from that perspective. So let me give you some insight. Hey, guess what? That helped me. Who do you think helped me with the research for this presentation that I'm going to do? It was not HR. So I wanted to explain why there is a lot of uncertainty and discomfort in our financial journey. Let me explain as quickly as possible. So investing with certainty. I want us to understand, why is there frustration and uncertainty? There's a principle called uncertainty management theory. Here's it. Uncertainty creates, if you can't see, don't worry, we're going to share the presentations. Uncertainty creates discomfort and anxiety. If you've ever seen those experiments where somebody comes with a mystery box and they say, put your hand in to get a prize. Many of us don't even want, because you could get a snake or a prize. And it's the uncertainty that develops that discomfort and anxiety. Number two, you may experience heightened stress levels, decreased job satisfaction, and lower performance in an environment of uncertainty. And especially around personal finance. Here's the thing. Have you noticed this? HR, please tell me if this is true. Have you seen somebody who's got financial strain? They got a raise, but they're still got financial strain. Yes. Why? They do not know how to manage what they have. We talk about this on a regular basis, but I don't think people hear it. If you cannot manage 100 shillings, I assure you, you cannot manage 100 million shillings. You cannot. And so when we get frustrated with our staff members and we're wondering, get it right. We've been called, I thank you for all the partners who are in this room. We've been called by partners who have employees, senior executives. In fact, I cannot mention the company because if I mention the company, you will know the executive. Somebody earning millions of shillings per month being chased by Shylocks. You heard through that from this side, not from this side. So what does uncertainty do? Individuals may experience heightened stress levels, job decrease. Sorry, I said that. It was a repeat. It makes it challenging to set clear goals or develop effective strategies. So that person who is having problems managing what they have, it's because they don't have a goal, and then they don't have a strategy to achieve that goal. So what we come in to do, especially with the training around personal finance, is to make it an effective, clear goal ahead of you. All of you who have dealt with graduate trainees, when you ask them, what do you want to achieve? I want to be rich. What does rich mean? Do your relatives think you're rich? Yusuf, you said your relatives. Why do they think there's a perception issue? But there's no clarity as to what rich means. And therefore there's an anxiety that I am not rich because I've never defined it. So when we talk about uncertainty, it means that it can lead to lower commitment to the organization and higher turnover intentions among employees. Why are people trying to leave so often? Because what are they looking for? More money, but more money is not the solution to their problems. Can I say that one more time? Because somebody said employee engagement. Remember you saw employee engagement. But people are looking for more money, but more money is not the solution to their problem because they have never defined it. That's what uncertainty. Uncertainty can hinder creativity and innovation as individuals may become more risk averse. Somebody was asking about our staff accelerator. You find that employees don't want to take risks. They don't want to volunteer for anything. And what does that mean? Then you have an ineffective employee. Because guess what? To take on a project means to take on risk. And if your company is not risking, it will be overturned. It will be. You have to try something new. You have to try a new formula. Will you get it right 100% of the time? No. But if you don't keep innovating, you will be surpassed. And guess what innovation, where does innovation come from? It's those small changes that each individual in that organization can find. And it's innovation in the processes you have, innovation in the planning, not just in the products, but even in the processes. But if somebody is uncertain about their future, they don't take that risk, okay? And finally, it can have detrimental effects on individuals, their motivation, their performance, and their well-being. And I think in this room, everyone is concerned about performance and well-being. So if you have an uncertain employee, especially around their finances, they're coming to work stressed, they are inefficient, they're ineffective, and they will leave you. So can we get this right? So what's the power of realistic goals? This is what the power of realistic goals is. Working towards meaningful goals can enhance intrinsic motivation by providing individuals with a sense of autonomy. It is my idea, my goal. Competence and relatedness. What does that mean? I am beginning to become part of the culture of your organization because I have a sense that it is going to benefit me. When you sit across from an employee, do you make it clear how their growth in the company benefits them? Is it clear? When individuals have clear objectives they strive for, they experience a sense of accomplishment upon achieving them. But here's one of the things that I've discovered in my reading is that many times our sense of satisfaction is not just in the accomplishment, but on the journey to accomplishment. Like if you have a sense that I'm not where I was. If you've ever been on a weight loss journey like me, that moment when you stand on not the treadmill, the scale, and 2 kgs have disappeared miraculously, you feel, hey, we are moving somewhere, right? So that same idea applies to our personal finance. If you have a sense of an outcome, not that I want to be rich, but I have a specific wealth outcome in line, when I receive my paycheck and I make that deposit into my investment account, there's a sense of what? Accomplishment. I just received my stock report from my stockbroker. And now that, for the last few months, those of you who are invested in the stock market, you've been receiving statements and you just feel like there's a loss. But because there's a consistency to it, you can begin to see movement towards the goal. How are you measuring that? Realistic goals, also pursuing goals, allows individuals to exert control over their actions. One of the things that employees, and we all employees here as well, most of us are employees, right? We dislike being controlled. Like, get a machine if you want to control them, isn't it? If you want my input, give me autonomy. And that's a powerful tool. Greatest, as they work towards the outcome, leading a greater sense of agency and satisfaction. You want somebody to feel this was my project and the project has been accomplished. Give them that sense as we go. And finally, the literature, and we'll be sharing all the citation for this program here, and I'll show you it as we go. It suggests that setting and working towards goals can enhance overall mental wellness. If you have somebody who is struggling, and we've dealt with some HR practitioners who've said, especially areas around substance abuse, areas around relationship issues, it's often because there's no goal or outcome that they're working towards. And so setting small goals begins to free them from the burden of the ultimate goal. If you find yourself thinking about only the day that I will drive that massive car that costs 100 million shillings, then every day before that goal is achieved, you feel like a failure. But if you can say, hey, I am 20% towards it, I'm 30% towards it, there's a sense of satisfaction. So what does that mean for us? Can I give you a case study here, very quickly, that applies to you? So if I have an income of 100,000 shillings per month, that is what is dictating my lifestyle, correct? All right. So at Centonomy, we define wealth as the ability to live the lifestyle that you want without having to work. Now, if I get into what you want, we won't have enough time. So can I deal with what you have? So let's all assume everybody in this room has an income of 100,000. Now, how do you live a lifestyle of 100,000 per month without having to work? By having what? Investments that are doing what? Paying you 100,000 shillings per month. Do you hear the difference? Not just having assets. I said this on social media, it was on actually traditional media, and it went literally around the world. And I talked about this. You do not want to retire asset rich, but cash poor. What does that mean? Kenyans, because majority of us are Kenyans in this room. You retire and you have 4,000 acres that you have never seen. What does it do for you? Nothing. But I need to go to the supermarket today. So what must I do? Yes, I need cash. I only have land. What do I do? Sell it. For how long can you sell land? How long does it take to sell land? So between the time that you are selling the land and when you need the money, what are you doing? I made fun, but it's true. Not because it was a joke, sorry. But it's true. I want you to close your eyes and think of your children. And just imagine you asking them, baby, send me. Okay, now you can open your eyes. Please understand that it's not just about the willingness, but the economies have changed. My parents came from a generation where my parents were part of 10 children. Do you see that 10 children taking care of 2 parents is not the same as our generation? How many were we in families? Half of that, maybe 4, 5, taking care of 2 parents. How many children does our generation have? Now you. 1 or 2? Do you see that the mathematics is not the same? So isn't it time that we begin to think about what assets are going to take care of us? And it's a number. So what the class does is that it gives people certainty about the numbers. And it begins to become clear, what must I achieve? So this is what it looks like. So the question is, what assets would sustain this lifestyle? Now I know you are thinking about, which assets were you imagining when I retire will take care of me? Which ones? Real estate. Yes? I will have rentals. So if we are all renting, who are we renting to? Okay? Think about that. But rentals is one of them. I know people now we're beginning to be aware of the different investment assets that are there. But because you're aware of the assets, how much do you need? Have you thought about it? Because if you think it's going to be rentals, many people in this room are already landlords. And so we think we're in a good position, but the truth is we are not yet. Because we have severely underestimated what it will take. Can I show you what it will take? So, I knew you were going to say rental. Others were going to say bonds. Others were going to say some kind of business that is in the place, unit trust, etc. Let's make this real so that you get it right. Here's what it means. If I'm looking for rental real estate, it's an actual number. Real estate earns about 5% of the value of the property in rental income annually. Did you know that? 5%. Of the value. What does that mean? Therefore, if I have 100,000, what's the annual amount for 100,000? 1.2 million. That's what I need every year from my investment. Okay, good. 1.2 million is equal to 5% because I'm going to earn from rental income. Wasn't that your plan, rental income? Good, wonderful. So 100, so what does that math mean? What is the 100%? The actual value of the property is 24 million. Today. If my plan is to earn rental income to sustain my lifestyle of 100,000 shillings per month, then how much rental property do I need? 24 million. It's simple mathematics. Oh, the people have now become depressed. Oh, relax, I'm going to give you hope. If you've ever attended our classes, we have to shock you first so that you're awake and then give you the solution. So have we understood what that mathematics means? So those of you who have a higher income than 100,000, now you have done the mathematics for yourself, haven't you? It's 24 million if you want rental income, and that's if you have 100% occupancy. So why is it important then to have information about alternative investments so that you're not just held by one? Now, did I say that you cannot have rental income to support your lifestyle? You can. But do you see that the plan is to have 24 million shillings worth of rental property today? We have not adjusted for inflation. Are we together? Yeah. So watch this now. If we now become aware of other investment opportunities such as bonds, the equation changes. Why? Because, okay, I'm using 15%, but I'm sure you've seen some other bonds that have been on offer, government bonds, right? You've had 17%, even at this 18%, and some of them, for example, infrastructure bonds, and we talk about bonds in the classes that we run, so you understand what each one of them are tax-free. Okay? However, before I move on, because people get excited, we need knowledge. When you hear 15%, 17%, 18%, please also understand it is not compounding. Unlike your rental property, which every year increases in value, that's a compounding effect. That's why you're able to charge more rent every year. A government bond does not compound. Therefore, the 15% that you're earning today, you will earn 15% of that original amount every year for the period of time that bond is there. Are we together? Financial knowledge is useful. I'm seeing mouths agape. It is that. So, but you can be able to use it in a different way. Let's talk about that. So if it's the same mathematics, so 1.2 million per year at 15%, what's the value of 1.2 million, 15%? What's the investment you'd have to make to earn that? Is 8 million shillings. So what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? If I have assets worth between 8 and 24 million, I can organize those assets in such a way to maintain my lifestyle of 100,000. Is there a significant difference between 8 and 24 million? But the person who has 8, if they organize their assets, can still live the same way as the landlord who has real estate worth. Does that not now begin to give you direction as to your investment strategy? Because now you say, I have a target. Before that, people just save and invest, correct? How much do you need to? I don't know. I'm just saving as much as I can. How much do you need to invest? As much as I can. Are we really investing as much as we can? So to plan to retire, we have to then adjust for inflation. So in the classes, we go through what is a principle called time value of money. The issue that we have is time here, is that we're able to say, okay, it's 24 million today, but you are 30 years old. So 24 million today is not the same as 24 million when you're 60. So when you're 60, what is the value of 24 million? We adjust for inflation. Just so that you understand what inflation is, here's a simple example. 1992, I always give this example. 1992, a loaf of bread, 500 grams in Kenya was 7 shillings. Okay? 2024, you cannot get a loaf of bread of 500 grams. It is reduced in size. Did you notice? To 400 grams. And we are paying how much? 65 shillings for a smaller loaf. If you are in your 40s like me, you have another 20 years. When you retire, how much do you think a loaf of bread is going to cost you? It will not cost 100 shillings. At minimum, 400. At minimum. When I started driving, a liter of fuel was 25 bob. $25 shillings. How much are you paying for a liter of fuel today? More than 10 times. So, what's the result of clear goals? It gives you focus. So when somebody is coming to the office, and actually, you know why you are there. Many times our employees, and ourselves included, we are at work because our parents told us to go to work. We don't have any other meaning other than society says you should be working. So can we give ourselves our own focus on the goals that we want to achieve? Second, it brings higher performance. Why? Because we're motivated by personal ambition. Here's something that I say, hopefully that you'll begin to say, I don't work for Centonomy. I work at Centonomy. There's a difference. I work at Centonomy because I have my own ambitions. When I come into this room, I am not here standing for Centonomy. I love Centonomy, but they're not the motivating factor. The motivating factor is the call that God has put on my life, my children, my wife, my extended family, all those things that matter to me, and my personal ambitions. Can you imagine the power if you didn't have to ask employees to come on time? If you didn't have to mandate it? If you didn't have to mandate extra work? Do you see when I do extra work, it is not for my employer? And if my employer does not note the extra work that I'm doing, then I have the motivation to move. Gives a greater sense of agency and satisfaction, better mental wellness, the realistic view of the world and potential outcomes. Why do I say realistic view? Because when I talk to young people, graduates, yes, ask them, what do you want in life? I want to be a billionaire. Okay. Then I tell them, good, are you willing to save 1 million shillings every month? Yes, but where do I get 1 million shillings? Okay, first solve that problem. Then number 2, if you're saving 1 million shillings per month, it will take you 83 years to become a billionaire. Do you know how their face changes? Because they had no realistic view of it. And so when I talk to somebody and they say, I want to be a billionaire, then the question becomes, what are you willing to do? Because what billionaires do are not what other people do. They produce products or services that can be scaled up significantly. That is a realistic view. Hey, before you came into this room, how much real estate were you imagining that I need? Did you even have a number? Or you are satisfied, you said, hey, I have a car rentals. You know those 2 rentals somewhere. And you think those are what are going to sustain your lifestyle. Will they? Now you have a realistic view. So what does that mean? We now begin to take care of the issues that we are facing around debt. Can I show you what the problem with understanding debt is? Very quickly. Why? My laptop is here. Look at this. So this is an example of buying a car. So if I buy a car, 1.7 million, what kind of car am I getting? Toyota Auris. So you still look like an Uber driver, right? Listen, I have been stopped when you're going into, those buildings and then, una drop. So if someone asks you that question, you know where you're falling. Anyway, right now the banks are going to ask you for what? Rate of return 18%, right? For 5 years. What we don't understand when we do, and we do this in our classes to show what it means, is that you're not going to pay back 1.7 million. You're paying back 1.7 million plus interest. So what does that mean? You'll be paying 43,000 shillings per month. Now you begin to see why people's paychecks are out of control. Because they have a poor view of what that goal is. So you see, the goal that they have is not a financial goal, it's an image goal. 43,000 per month for 60 months, and you pay 890,000 shillings in interest alone. So how much did you actually pay for this car? 2.5 million shillings for a car that when you bought it was worth how much? 1.7. After 5 years, now you own the car. How much is it worth? Maybe 800, maybe a million if you're lucky. If you're lucky. So when we have this discussion, is it now clear that your car is not an asset? Now, is a car a bad thing? No. But how much car do you need? In fact, now you want to be completely confused as an Uber. But others will be concerned about you. But do you feel anything of their concern if you have your own plan and agenda? No. Can I show you what a mortgage looks like? Are there any people in the room with preferential mortgage rates? You get like what percentage rate do you get? Preferential? So 14% is not really preferential. That's near the... Yeah, for mortgages, you're in that say. So 4% you're likely to be government. Someone, not me. Someone, oh, so... Okay, so let's look at a mortgage for without preferential rates, yes? The one that you looked at, which was giving you about how much? What was the rate? It was not 18, slightly less than that. Let's say 15 for now, yeah? Mortgage for which house? Which one? How much does it cost? 10 million. I like people, they like round numbers, 10 million. Okay? And then how many years are you going to take that loan for? 24. You see the people who say 25 years, they are so young. I felt Yusuf here for one moment as he said 25 years. But Yusuf, let me show you what your 25-year mortgage is going to look like. So 25 years. So let's look here. So you'll be paying 128,000 shillings per month for 300 months, and you'll be paying 28.4 million in interest alone over that period of time. Okay? So, yes. So how much did you pay for this house over a 25-year period of time? 38 million for the house when you bought it was worth how much? 10 million. Now it will appreciate in value, it will. So it will have more value in future. So I'm not trying to say don't own a home, but I want you to understand the issue here. Here's the problem. While you're building this, while you're paying off this mortgage, Yusuf, the likelihood is that this 128,000 is a huge chunk of your income. Okay? What does that mean? You have no other space within your salary, which is why when you begin to hear a 2% tax increase, a 1.5% tax increase, people are panicking because what are they? They are right on the edge. And any movement is going to throw them off that edge. So what is happening right now is you're saying it's 128, which is a huge chunk of your income. That means you have no income left for any other investment. And so what we are seeing right now, because this is not new, the mortgage process, those who are in that retirement stage right now, have this one asset called a house. But guess what do? They live in it. So you're in a house worth millions of shillings, but I can't go to the supermarket. I can't even pay for the fuel to put in my car. And so we're having retirees at this moment. We are training them, ask Joanne, because we do retirement training as well. And we're beginning to see the one asset that you have is your house. What do? You do what, sorry? You sell it. Oh, the problem with ease of access to loans is that it seems like a loan is the solution to another loan. So if you're not educated on what that means, that's how you get into a cycle of debt. Because people are chasing you on this one side, so you go borrow from wherever you possibly can to pay off that debt. So we talk about it. Now when we have this discussion, do you understand now why changing your lifestyle becomes vital? Why I have to save on this side, I have to give you a reason on this other side. And if I don't give you that reason, I will not change my habits and my practices, which is cultural. So if you want to get out of debt, we start off by saying why it's necessary. What do you want out of your life? And then when somebody has understood that they have an outcome that they are aiming for, they are willing to make the adjustments, because any kind of extra payments towards your debt significantly reduces the interest. And now because of the Consumer Protection Act, we are able to repay our debts as quickly as possible, which reduces interest without penalties. And we give you a debt repayment plan. We have a whole system through which you can be able to do that. So the effect of purposeful, specific financial goals is this: motivation to take control of your money. In our class, principle number 1, you can write this down in case you have never heard me speak before. I give you 3 before you go. Number 1, pay yourself first. All right? What does that mean? When money comes in, you save and invest like a tax. Why? Not because we like tax, but because we want the outcome. What's the outcome? A comfortable life in future. If you have never measured the life in future, why should I pay tax today? YOLO, isn't it? We don't know whether we have tomorrow, but guess what? You don't know, but what if tomorrow comes? Don't you want to be ready? So, number 1, pay yourself first. It's a practice. It is a culture. It is a habit where when money comes in, you save and invest. And saving and investing are not the same thing. Secondly, you also, number 2, you can write it down, track your expenses. Now, we are realistic about this. When we talk to you, we encourage you, don't do it every day of your life, unless you're that kind of person. If you're that kind of person, God bless you. But if you're like me, once a year for 1 month, simply write down your expenses. And not in January, not in December. Because they skew your mathematics. So pick a month in the year, once a year, and track your expenses. It will change your life. Because you will begin to realize where your money actually goes. How many of you know exactly how much you give for every wedding, funeral, baby shower, birthday, family support, wedding, the last month? How many people know exactly how much you sent to your relatives? 5 of us. The rest of us, did you give people? How much? Many of us have a budget for shopping every month, right? This is the most, I've been doing this for many years. Can I give you the budget that people mostly say when they come to our classes? We spend 15,000 shillings on household shopping. That is 15,000 the one time you went to Carrefour or to Naivas. You've not included bread, milk, fruits, vegetables. So when you do the tracking, you will be shocked that your grocery budget is usually double. And I mean double what the budget is in your head. For us, this is the one I'm allowed to share from my family. When we did this, when we just got married, we were spending more on takeout food than our rent in a month. Because we had never calculated it. You see, what we saw, it's 200 shillings for lunch at the office, isn't it? It's 250 if you buy a soda, and we often buy a soda. So if there are 2 of us, that's 500 shillings per day. Monday to Friday, that's 2,500. Then on Saturday, you go to the nice restaurant now, because you're going out now, and you spend how much? Adjust for inflation, and we didn't have children, so 3. 3 on Saturday, isn't it? Sunday after church, You drive somewhere and spend another 3. So that's 6 plus 2, 5, 8, 5 times 4, 34,000 shillings. We were paying rent of 28,000. And then we would meet at the end of the month and say, where is the money to invest? So what the goals do, they give you motivation to take control of your money. So it's not that I don't want to eat, it's that I want to be able to fit in a nice suit. Do you see the difference? So if you want to be healthy, it's not, let me not go that way. Motivation to save and invest, and motivation to protect your investments, which we spend a lot of time talking about the power of insurance. We talk about an insurance, please get insurance. At most basic, please, NHIF, and when SHIF comes in, SHIF for your family members. Because the highest risk that you have, especially for aging parents, is what? Healthcare. So think about that even as you go along. All right? So ladies and gentlemen, we want to be your support in the area of personal finance, in the area of accelerating your staff as far as their culture is concerned. And don't worry, we'll share this presentation with you as well. If they can't get their personal finance in order, you will struggle with all other areas of their performance, because it affects their mental wellness, their motivation, and their growth prospects. So invest in it at whatever level you can. Some of the organizations here say we don't have a big enough group. Please do engage with Joanne, who's been talking to us. She'll be able to assist and get you into groups. Now what we're doing is grouping organizations who have small staff members. You know, if it's not small, few staff members. I was doing direct translation. Few staff members, so that you can be able to afford some of the programs that we have. But it shows to be worth it over time, especially when dealing with financial institutions as you go along. Not only that, but it will build the motivation for your staff. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I have come with goodies. We are celebrating 15 years as Centonomy this year. Right? And 15 years of changing people's lives. I say that because my life changed in engaging with Centonomy. And I know it'll change your life as well. And so between now and June, we have an offer on all our corporate programs. To celebrate 15 years, we're giving a 10% discount between now and the month of June on all our corporate programs, just to say thank you for the support that you have had for us over this period of time. So if you reach out to Joanne and the corporate team that we have at Centonomy, and you book and procure between now and June, you get that 10% discount. And we deal with people across the board. We do sensitization, which means getting people aware in groups like this. The next level, we'll do like 2-hour talks that can be able to get people moving and get some action in place. And then we start training. And the training now here is in smaller groups because we are regulated by NITA, and we cannot have 100 people in the room and expect that same level of engagement. So our regulations will work as far as your organization is concerned, in person and online. And what happens is from 4 hours onwards, you're actually able to begin to do this mathematics that we're doing. And it's not hard. It's just that it takes time to do it. But once you invest in it, you will see a change in your staff members. Hey, have we trained your organization? Just wave at me. Keep your hand up in the air. Did things change after Centonomy left? Keep your hand in the air. Yeah. And that's what it is. It changes your organization standard. So please do reach out to us. We'll be sharing all the presentations that you saw. And this is going to be a good year for us, 2024, isn't it? As we go forward. We are not chasing you away. In fact, we want to encourage you to stay and please do engage with the team and those others here. The networking is going to be excellent beyond this point. We want to say thank you to Yusuf for an amazing presentation. Can we give him a hand again? Joanne, who had to leave also, and will be sharing that detail with you. And a big thank you to my team here at Centonomy. You guys have done an amazing job. This was a wonderful event, in my opinion, as your boss. Did you guys think that it was a good event? Excellent. They have agreed with me. Thank you so much, everybody. We have a tradition here at Centonomy. We pray in our events. Do you mind standing as we say a word of prayer? You mind standing? Oh, sorry. You don't have to. You are not required to if you don't want to. But let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for the ability to generate wealth. Thank you also for our teams that we get to guide, to lead, and to encourage, oh God, and that we'd be able to do so in an effective way. We pray that our lives would change, that others would too as well. And we thank you for this morning that we've had together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you all. Please get a copy of Making Sense at the back there by our founder, Waceke Nduati. It's an amazing book. And today you get a great bookmark to help you along the way.